Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your December 2021 General Tarot reading. It's Raina here, your fellow Sagittarian. And now we are in Sagittarius season with a solar eclipse on the 3rd or 4th, depending on where you live. And that is very exciting. Of course, we had one last December as well, but this is the last one for this cycle. And once again, my tripod situation. Okay. The heart of the matter is the Seven of Wands, and this is a card of this. You can see the defensive posture, standing your ground. But it doesn't, as far as I'm concerned, this doesn't even have to be that you're actively doing this with somebody who is attacking you. In some cases, I mean, sometimes when I see this card, I think about the Nine of Wands, the sense of boundaries and things like that. But the number 7 is the number of the turning point. So because wands are connected to the self and autonomy, freedom, and that kind of thing, you might be at a point, and maybe the solar eclipse will bring this to your attention in some way through some experience or a download, Sag, that you have to do you, and you have to it's funny because what just came into my mind is actually when I said do you, what I meant was that you have to follow your own path. And there was when I first picked that card, I was thinking about fighting for your right to doing things your own way, or for forging a path that might not be what other people would want for you. But now that I'm really trying to articulate this, it can be within yourself. It doesn't even have to be like there's an outer person trying to dictate to you. So maybe you have to light a fire under yourself, Sag, because there's something creative that, wants to be birthed. Or there is some kind of, like if you have been meaning to start your own business or anything along those lines, and you have been either putting it off or second guessing yourself, that you have to stop that and really go for it all. And that's how I see this card. In one of my other decks, they have a totally different illustration, because this is the Morgan Greer deck, and this really is faithful to the illustrations of Pamela Coleman Smith for Rider-Waite. And that's the standard deck that all decks, are probably compared to. But so that's why I got this deck, because I wanted something that was similar to the standard bearer. But I have another deck that just shows like a single flame, almost like a candle that's lit. And I look at that Seven of Wands as the eternal flame that burns within all of us, and has to do with maybe our soul's mission. We may not even formulate that on a conscious level, but we feel like we're blazing some kind of a trail. And so this issue of individuality may come up for you in some way, where you have to, the best way I can put it is stand your ground and not allow anybody else or even yourself to kind of dissuade you from that. In the past position, we have the Four of Pentacles. This is a card of financial security a lot of times. Also, you see the person's body language, and they're kind of hugging the gold coins, because it can be that they're, holding it close to them very protectively. Sometimes this can be somebody who's really good at managing money, but somebody who's also overly cautious about money, perhaps greedy about money. Do I think any of that is associated specifically with Sagittarius? No, I don't. But if you're a sun in Sagittarius, you could easily have inner planets in Capricorn, and that will be much more frugal and much more concerned with preserving your resources. Now, that Seven of Wands can be a sense of feeling under attack, maybe, by your employer, somebody in the workplace that is not showing appreciation for what you're doing. And you're there because of the steady paycheck or because it pays well. But there's a need for self-preservation. There's a sense that what is being done is creating more and more degradation. You're feeling degraded because somebody is not, acknowledging your gifts. And it's not from an ego standpoint of like having somebody praise you for that reason. But everybody needs to know that other people think what they're doing is worthwhile. If they don't get that, there's always going to be that sense of questioning. And it's not that it's the end of the world, but it can make it uncomfortable if it goes on too long. Because then you start to think, well, maybe they don't like what I'm doing at all. Maybe they think I suck or something, And it's just, it's not very pleasant, let's put it that way. This can also apply to relationships, because you may be staying with somebody because they provide financial security. And so if your Venus is in Capricorn, this may be a bitter lesson for you, Sag, because Venus in Capricorn individuals can make the mistake of putting too much emphasis on their partner's earning capacity. And they can find out what is really important, but it can come at a price, which can be that the relationship doesn't last because of that. And, there is going to be a full moon in Gemini on the 18th of, I don't know if it's going to be on the 18th everywhere, but, and I don't even know if where I live it's going to be officially on the 18th, because I don't know what time it is on the Eastern. I have to check that out, but around the 18th. And Gemini is the opposite house of Sagittarius, so this could very well fall in your 7th house of committed partnership, and that might be the coup de grace, or whatever you want to call it. That could be the final blow. And when I say blow, I mean, I'm just talking about transit-wise, where it becomes apparent that you and another person in a relationship simply cannot progress. Because a full moon brings something to that fullness. But the fullness can be the pain that you've been experiencing. It finally is too much to ignore. It could be something like that. I'm not saying that everybody who is in a troubled relationship will end their relationship in December of 2021. But for those, this card can certainly speak to feeling like you're having to defend yourself in some way. And the higher message is the Two of Cups. This is a card of reuniting with someone, and we do have a Venus retrograde happening in December as well, December 19th. And for all signs, this could be a time when exes reappear. And it's going to be interesting in January because I think it's around mid-month or so that there's going to be a Mercury retrograde. And so then for probably about 10 days, we're going to have Mercury and Venus retrograde. And, Mercury is another one about hearing from people in your past. But Venus retrograde can be specifically lovers. So as the higher message or the spiritual message, it could be saying that a relationship that you have been in has been a rebound situation, that there's really somebody else that you would prefer to be with, but perhaps for whatever reason that hasn't been in the cards, pardon the pun. And maybe this is making room for that to occur, for that rekindling of an old relationship. The card that crosses you is the Nine of Cups, but I'm reading it as a challenge card. And the Nine of Cups in the upright position is wish fulfillment. In how I would read the reversed card, even though, when I pulled it, it was probably upright, but I'm reading it in the opposite, in the challenging position. What that can mean is that there's some kind of excess that is keeping you from a sense of autonomy in yourself. So when it comes to your work situation, if this is you staying on a job because of for financial reasons, it could be that you are too free a spender, and so you create the need for that certain amount of money because you're not being disciplined enough financially. And so, in other words, if you would be more cautious, when I mean cautious is I mean that you're not too extravagant. And I'm talking about in these times. I'm not saying forever. But if you're not saving money and that kind of thing, or you're feeling like you're always just kind of treading water, and that you can't just quit because you just don't have anything to fall back on, it might be because you don't take heed of saving money and having some kind of a cushion. So that might be something that you need to create a strategy surrounding, because create a budget or something like that, because then you can have that freedom from a work environment that may be less than satisfactory at the moment. And if this is your love life and you're with someone because they're a great provider, the same thing applies. That may have enabled you to not be very to be quite careless with your own earnings, because you don't really have to pay many bills and you just can use that as spending money. And maybe that feels good, because I know as a Sag, it feels really great, liberating, when you just spend money and don't even think about it. But then it can feel like you have nothing to show for it. And then there are times when you feel restricted, like you can't do what you want to do in all areas of your life because of that. So you have to sometimes be more disciplined so that you can achieve the life that you want, in a certain time frame. But the Nine of Cups, even in the challenge position, is one of those cards that's still positive. So it's kind of like the phrase that came into my mind right now is an embarrassment of riches. You might have enough to work with, and the question is, do you respect your money, or are you squandering it and preventing yourself from the freedom that you crave so much? What's coming in is the Death card. I really welcome this in December because this is a card of transformation. And this can indicate that you're ready to change. You're willing to change. And so if you're willing to change, if you're willing to take that leap of faith and realize that something is truly over, then it can make everything just, kind of fall in line. And then the outcome is the Eight of Pentacles. This is a great money card because the number 8 in numerology is about worldly riches, and it's a great financial card, but it's also about maybe for some people training or apprenticeship, so that you can do something that is very handy, or something, getting training for something that has a demand, doing a good job. That's what this card represents. So an example would be if you have a game plan of how you're going to maybe save some money so that you can exit a job that is not working for you. You have this game plan. You're not going to just goof off on the job. You're going to bring your A game, but you're going to have a strong desire to earn as much money as possible. And you're going to approach things with the consciousness of a craftsman or craftswoman, I guess. That sounds weird saying that. And you're going to strive for excellence. And that will put you in a good vibration so that you can continue to, build your life day by day, action by action. Okay, that's what I have for you, Sag. I hope that this resonated. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.